Hi there, and welcome to a new Advance Wars video. Today's video will be a bit different from what I usually upload. But before we start, allow me to explain what this entails. So, a friend of mine and also a fellow Advance Wars fan invited me to participate in an activity that he calls Advance Wars Tags. This activity consists of answering some Advance Wars related questions. By nature, the purpose of said activity is for Advance Wars fans to share their experiences with other fans. Okay. With that out of the way, let's get started. I remember watching several Nintendo related videos back in the day. Some of these videos had Nintendo fans discussing forgotten Nintendo series. And well, I started noticing how many of these videos always brought up Advance Wars. The pixelated graphics of the games caught my attention. So, I decided to do some research and find similar games to Advance Wars just to figure out whether or not I liked the genre. I found a game called Tiny Metal on the Nintendo eShop. I bought the game and played it, and then I realized I liked it. After having done all of that, I finally got my hands on Advance Wars and the rest is history. Moral of the story, try new games. My favorite game in the series is to be Advance Wars Dual Strike. Don't get me wrong, I also like the others. It's just that I prefer Dual Strike because it is the game in the series with the most amount of content. I understand that Dual Strike's story is questionable and that the game itself is the most unbalanced one in the series. But despite its flaws, it remains my most played game in the series. Oh my, this one's a tough question to answer. There are quite a few COs I like using, but if I had to choose one, then that CO would have to be Jess. I like both of her CO powers and also the fact that said CO powers can supply fuel and ammunition to all her units. Not to mention how she's a vehicle specialist, which results in her vehicles having good firepower. And in my opinion, her theme is a certified banger. Another tricky question to answer. Every CO can be annoying in their own unique way, but if I had to choose one, then my least favorite CO to go up against would be Grit. Grit is the embodiment of his owner in Advance Wars. Maneuvering around his indirect units is annoying, and in the end, he'll just end up hitting you from across the map. I didn't choose COs like Sturm, Patchy, or Colin because they are simply straight up broken. My favorite nation in the series is Green Earth. This nation's COs can cover each other's weaknesses. Eagle is an aerial combat specialist, Drake is a naval specialist, and Jess is a ground specialist. Not to mention how Green Earth also has a CO that can very easily go up against Grit. Starting with Orange Star, my favorite CO from this nation is none other than the walking meme himself, Andy. I like him because his super CO power is just straight up good. Who doesn't like seeing their units get repaired with the simple click of a button? Fun fact, the name Andy is just a code name he uses. My favorite Blue Moon CO is none other than the Commander-in-Chief himself, Olaf. I like how his CO power can slow down the enemy from advancing and also deal global damage. Not to mention his character growth throughout the series. And don't get me started on how funny it is seeing him argue with Grit constantly. For Green Earth, you already know who my favorite CO is. Jess is awesome. My favorite CO from Yellow Comet is the living legend himself, Sensei. His theme is one of the catchiest in the entire series. And who doesn't like spamming infantry with his super cheap CO power? Also, Intelligence Systems did him dirty by making him senile in Advance Wars Dual Strike. This might shock some of you, but my favorite black hole CO isn't Sturm. It's none other than Kindle. I like how her playstyle fits her character. She's also a female villain who might very well become the head of the Black Hole Army in a future Advance Wars game. The following are my top 3 favorite themes. If I could introduce a new nation in Advance Wars, then I would introduce one based on Latin America. A nation like this one is not really that far-fetched when you take into account the fact that Green Earth is an amalgamation of European countries. This is another tricky question to answer, but I'm going to have to cheat and say Toy Box from Advance Wars 2 and Sunrise from Advance Wars Days of Ruin. Let's start with Toy Box. I like this mission because of what it represents for Advance Wars lore. Even though the series is all about war, you rarely get to see anything serious. Most of the dark themes the series could explore are swept under the rug. But this mission does a complete 180 and shows the player the consequences of war, albeit in a very subtle way. If you have played this mission, you'll perfectly know what I'm talking about. As for Sunrise, I like this mission because it's a true test of skill and by extension, one of the toughest missions in the entire series. Okay, now I'm curious, how many of you have passed this mission? Make sure to let me know in the comments. My favorite moment in the series is the ending of Advance Wars Days of Ruin. Some people might think that the game was given the subtitle Days of Ruin just to sound edgy. But no, the game lives up to its name. The ending of Days of Ruin is my favorite moment in the series because you get to see this bastard pay for all the inhumane things he has done throughout the game. The game's final battle is straight up unfair, but beating it feels so freaking good. Well, that concludes today's video. But before I go, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you guys to participate in this activity. I'll be leaving the questions down in the description of this video. So, feel free to make a video if you can, or just answer them in the comments. If you do make a video, make sure to use the following hashtag. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.